You've got kids, like you go through these phases. There's the first bit where you're like in a fog and like a hole.
Yeah,
And you're
like a couple of years.
Yeah, and there's no night, day, whatever. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
all in one.
Yeah, you're in Las Vegas.
And then they're older and there's new exactly, you're in Vegas.
I felt like
without the fun
I was in
stuff.
Vegas for 3 years. You know, like you never know. Is
And
it
you're
like
just like,
noon? Is
yeah,
it
it's
4 in the
just
morning? I have no idea. Drink some water and keep going. Welcome to the Lighthouse Conversations, a podcast featuring entrepreneurs and tastemakers from the world of arts, culture, tech, and of course food. I'm your host, Hashem and Shereen. If you're joining us for the first time, please hit the follow button in your podcast player to get alerted when we have a new episode, which is typically every other week. You can also listen to our extensive catalog of previous episodes on our website at thelighthouse.ae/podcast. It includes amazing guests like Sani Rabar from the Third Line Gallery, Ayman Beki, Nada Dibs, Muhammad Orfali from Orfali Bros, Hatem Matar from Matar Farms, and so many others. I'm joined today by Shereen Al-Mulla, co-founder of Hikma Rituals, a homegrown brand of botanicals including oils, dusts, and tinctures. Shereen found her calling in herbalism as a way of returning to nature and connecting with her Iraqi roots. So she began studying for a Master Herbalist degree with the College of Naturopathic Medicine in London. She then met her co-founder, who had been laying the groundwork for Hikma Rituals and creating products based on medicinal plants. I talked to Shereen about her exploration of herbalism as a career and her own personal journey exploring her hybridity, combining her Iraqi and Kurdish heritage, her very strict British upbringing in school, and life in Abu Dhabi and then Dubai. We're so excited about this. A lot to learn. I was reading yesterday about your business and about you and about herbalism. I'm going to start at the top. Tell us first just a little bit about yourself. So you were just telling me you grew up in London, born and raised in London.
Born and raised in London,
Okay.
spent all my life there, university, and then moved out here about 11 years ago.
And where were your parents originally from?
Iraq.
So they migrated from Iraq to the UK.
My grandfather. So we're a
so it's
third.
two generations.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. So my parents met in England at university.
Okay.
Actually, a big part of my journey is trying to kind of get in touch with my roots
Yes.
because there was such a disconnect and a lot of confusion growing up in England.
Although, are both your parents originally Iraqi?
Yes.
Because there's quite an active Iraqi community in the UK, to my knowledge.
There is. We weren't part of it.
You are not part of it.
My
okay.
parents really tried to anglicize us, but I think they were just trying to do the
Interesting.
best they could. So at home was very Arab. We still had our Deen teacher, we still had our Arabic teacher, and it was very much culturally Iraqi at home. But education-wise, I guess in their mind, they thought they'd give us the best they
chance.
could, which was extremely British, strict schools where we were the only Arabs. Like, no joke, I was the only Arab in my year. And what was the result? Systemic racism and bullying, which is what really happened to me and my brother a lot. That I've had to unpick now that I'm like nearing 40 of what that actually did to me
100%.
And how I was really in such a dichotomy. Like, what do I do? Who am I? Am I British? Am I Iraqi? And there's a lot of confusion. And then the strictness of the parents, but then the freedom of outside and not knowing what to do there. So plants have brought me back to that, specifically going to the plants of Iraq.
So you had a lot of, I guess you were saying you were exposed to Iraqi culture at home. Did you ever go there?
I've been twice in my life. Yeah.
So a big part of it is kind of more the inspiration of what it would be like, as opposed to actual...
It's not a longing for an actual experience.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's a longing for connection.
Obviously, during COVID, this became quite widespread. A lot of people trying to think about, many of us went to back to basic principles, like first principles, trying to reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
When did the idea of the business come to your mind?
It was not during COVID, but the journey started during COVID.
Okay.
The journey to knowing what I wanted to study and be certified in. And luckily, the degree that I did became available online because of COVID. It was actually the rose which brought me to what my true finding my purpose or what my path was, which was a herbalist that I had seen for an appointment. I told him I've had a loss of identity. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to find a path. And he told me.
Just pause for a second here. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you went to a herbalist. You made an appointment. With what intention? Is it like, sorry, I've never made an appointment with a herbalist. So is it like a therapist?
Health. Health.
Okay.
So
Health issues.
any health issues. So it
Okay.
could be digestion, it could be your adrenals, it could be anything.
Yeah.
So like you would go to a nutritionist or a naturopath,
Okay.
you do the same to a herbalist.
Okay.
But then also some herbalists have like a spiritual
Element to their
path,
practice.
which is where the rose came in. So the rose is it's a heart medicine. It's heart opening. It's astringent. It's a diuretic. It helps with your liver. It helps to clear liver heat. But then also in another way, it's a heart opener. And each plant has a spiritual, it has a spiritual signature and like a different energy. Plants have energetics. There's cooling, warming, bitter, lots of different energies. So he told me to drink every morning. I had to repeat a mantra and drink a cup of rose tea and inhale the scent of the rose while I said this mantra, which was calling on my higher guardian angels and to show me my path and to connect me to Mother Earth and nature, because that was what I knew I wanted. And sure enough, like I did it a month later, 2 months later, this course became available online.
Were you skeptical at all? Or
I'm always skeptical.
So when you did that, were you like, like he's trying to sell me something, or were you convinced, like you did it with an actually open heart, so to speak?
I did it. I did it with an open heart because at that time you
needed something.
But I was deep in practice. I was doing my yoga every day. Because COVID allowed me to.
Okay.
And I was doing many different courses at the same time with spiritual teachers.
Okay.
So I was in that mode. Now, like everything's become fast paced again and I don't have time for my practice. It's funny when you give the time to your practice, your skepticism goes away because you see how
it works.
But yeah, so funnily enough, I then decided, let me go check my books from when I was younger that I had just shipped all from London, and they were all about herbs, gardens, plants, natural healing. These were from when I was 16, 17. So I went online, checked, and the course was online, and I took it and I did it. And I was like, 3 years, it's going to take ages, but it's over now in August.
It's a 3-year course.
The degree. It's a Master Herbalist degree, and I'll be a certified clinical herbalist. So you'll be able to come with me with your health issues, and I put you on a protocol, which we do now at Hikma, actually. And we basically take charge of your health with you, and we empower you to take charge of your health.
Did you know when you started the degree, was it purely out of the interest to learn, or you knew that you would eventually pair it up with a business?
No, it was to learn. I had no idea about the business.
So it was curiosity.
It was curiosity and a bit of ego that I'm also trying to work with now, of like, wanting to have a title, which is funny. Whereas when I signed up,
no, I have a massive ego, so that's totally fine.
When I signed up, the title Master Herbalist really called me,
and I was all about global and master and things like that.
Yeah.
In my previous job, I was working for a company that was only in the Middle East, but they called me regional head. But then my assistant called me global head. I'm like, keep that. That's fine.
That's brilliant.
I'm like, we don't have any global presence, but like global head feels like just right.
Yeah, exactly. We get, it's like shiny to us, and we like
totally.
it. Exactly, same thing. It was very appealing to me
to
be called a master herbalist. But if someone asked me now, I would never say I'm a master herbalist. So yeah, it was that. It was a curiosity. And I actually didn't birth Hikma. Mahdiah did, my partner, who's supposed to be with us today, but she's traveling. So she created Hikma. And I met her serendipitously. Is that a word? I don't know.
Yeah, it is a word.
I met her and it all just unfolded and we grew it together.
So no. So let's just go through that. So you're not gonna run to the grew it together. We want to see you met her serendipitously.
Yeah,
I wasn't able to say it. So you met her.
My sister met her at a sustainability event.
She had already started the company.
She had started Hikma. She was producing a few oils and some sprays and a couple of the powders actually that we still sell.
Yeah, we have some of the products.
Yeah. Which one is that?
I'll have to put on my glasses for that. Yeah, try being 49.
Got lots to look forward to.
Baraka. Yeah, which is one of, I think, of
it's such a beautiful one.
Like very popular products.
It is really popular because it has Habbat al-Baraka, which is, we love to focus on the medicine of the region.
Like prophetic medicine and things like that.
And this one is...
I think all Arabs are obsessed with Habbat al-Baraka.
Right? We really are. And I remember my mom used to force us to have
my
it
mother
every
too.
day.
Totally. My honey, Habbat al-Baraka.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What is it? Like, it can cure anything but death.
Yeah. My mother every day, and she's like, basically, any ailment I had,
exactly.
honey and Habbat al-Baraka was a good solution.
Because that's what it says in the Quran.
I know.
Or in prophetic medicine.
Of course,
maybe not
I
in
made
the Quran.
fun of her, and now I do the exact same thing with my children.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything, I'm not just have some honey.
Exactly.
So how does this work? So you take the drop.
So these are the oils for the skin. So you can rub it into your palms and just have a smell. They all have a very distinct smell. And this one, you'll smell the nigella, the Habbat al-Baraka quite.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That is-
beautiful.
yeah.
And it's,
Exactly.
it's antibacterial, it's antifungal, like you said, like we all know it cures everything.
Yeah.
It's good for the skin. It's good for the skin. We don't claim to perform any miracles, but an ode to
Can you ingest it?
no, the
Not in this
oils you
form.
can't.
The oils you can't. Okay. So it's not like you can put a few droplets in your tea or anything like that.
No, these ones you can you
Okay.
take by mouth, the tinctures.
Those.
These are plant extracts that you drop into on your tongue or in water. Actually, Calm is our bestseller, which is indicative of the state of the world.
Yeah.
It's for anxiety and activated states and restful sleep. I can smell it from here, the buttercup oil already.
Yeah, it's very strong smell. Great smell. I mean, I'm obsessed with the baraka. I mean, I have to say, all the things that I said I wouldn't be, I am. I mean, I think everybody turns into his mother, man or woman.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
my theory. So, and that's fine. Like I was telling this funny story the other day, or maybe it's not funny, but it was funny to me about a friend of mine. He's much younger than me, so I'm kind of a mentor to him, and he lives in New York. And he called me. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to be in Egypt." I'm like, so I called him. Did you lose your job? Do you need something? Or something? He's like, no. And I was like, oh my God, I'm my mother. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Like the guy just said, I'm not going to be there when you come.
And you just had
and
a complete,
I had a whole like, I'm ready to rescue you plan. Okay, so let's go back. So you met your partner.
So my sister met her and said, listen, because I was looking to start my herbal business on my own.
Okay.
And she's like, I've met this, amazing woman and you should meet her. She started already. And it was called Hikma. And that was one of the names on my list of what I wanted to call my business. So even the name we were connected by.
Your name is beautiful.
So we met up and literally from the first coffee, like
you clicked.
We clicked and it was peaceful. It wasn't frenetic energy. It was peaceful energy. It was joy, and it was just energetically felt right. And it started straight away. We were like, shouldn't we be signing some papers or something? That's
the most beautiful way to do it.
Yes,
frankly.
And I think because there was no friendship before, we've come together because of the business. That takes away a lot of that, that whole thing of working with friends and stuff. So I would say we have a deep bond now because we speak every single day, all day long.
Is it for both of you? You mentioned earlier how important it was for you that this was a way to reconnect with your heritage.
Yeah.
I've read somewhere that you were also talking about looking at specifically Iraqi plants and plants that came from this part of the world.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about this.
We have a big focus on that. And Mahdiah and I both actually have the story of not knowing who we are. Like even though she grew up in Canada, I grew up in London, but we had roots elsewhere.
And that's a Dubai story as well.
And it's a Dubai story. Exactly. Yeah. By the way, I love how I've been telling the story as if it's...
No, that's not what I mean.
I just thought of it, but it's true. I mean,
everyone 90% expat levels.
Everyone here has
It's a Dubai
that.
story. And it's obviously an Arab expat story
Exactly.
as well. So, I mean...
Exactly. We all have this in common. And I think that's where people connect with Hikma when we start talking about this because everyone has this, a lot of people have this story. And we've all been severed from our lands. And I think
that immediately spoke to me, by the way.
Yeah.
When I read that.
Yeah, we all have. And I think what we want is a way to connect back. And I think when I started doing deep dives into the horrific stuff that's happened with destroying lands, I know it happens in Palestine, I know it happens all over the Middle East, but specifically Iraq is what I did a deep dive into. And it was the bombing of the seed bank in 2003, when the American invasion happened, and that we lost thousands of heirloom seeds. It was the Order 81 or whatever it was that Paul Bremer put on Iraqi farmers that it was illegal for them to plant they would only be able to plant Monsanto seed, so genetically modified seed.
I did not know
destroying the landscape, like destroyed. So you have like acres of wheat fields that you are not consumable. And then you have women that we sell Shahina's book. Shahina Razanfar, who spent, I think, 40 years, she's a senior botanist at Kew Gardens, compiling every flora and fauna of Iraq.
Wow.
We want to highlight people like that's work because they're preserving the history, the heritage, the seeds, the biodiversity that's being lost like at a massive rate.
Is her book widely available?
Her book is widely available.
Okay. We'll link to it in our show notes too.
It's called The Flora of Iraq.
Okay.
And then we have the Palestinian professor Arif Abu Rabia.
Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram.
His book is amazing.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. And he's been so lovely and I
just started following him.
And then the wonderful Lebanese Californian girls and another Jordanian lovely girl called Talitha that have published these books on medicinal plants of Lebanon or a field guide to the flowers of the Levant. people like that are really like calling to us, and
That's amazing.
And people are loving the books because it's the way for them to connect to their
Of course,
land.
of course.
And that's what we're all aching for, right? A connection to our land. And yeah, that's it basically on that front. And I think us, Mahdiah and I, trying to put as many plants from the region into our products is our way of doing that.
What's Mahdiah's background in terms of connecting to her heritage?
So she's Tunisian, half Tunisian, half First Nation Canadian. So indigenous Canadian, her grandmother was, which is really interesting, from a specific tribe whose name I will not attempt to pronounce.
Let's not do that.
It's in my phone because I wanted to read a lot. I want to learn about the tribe that she's from.
Amazing.
So yeah, very interesting backgrounds. I'm just, that's far more exotic than me. I'm just fully Iraqi.
I think it's exotic enough for the
exotic
purposes
depending where you are in the world.
Exactly.
About being here.
Exactly.
But yeah, my dad's from Kurdistan. My mom's from Baghdad. I've never been to Kurdistan, but hopefully one day to do something to help the land, like the marshes of Iraq that are completely gone. And it's really sad. Like it was a bit heartbreaking when I went into it because I didn't know any of this.
No, I mean, it's heartbreaking even listening to it, to be honest.
And then the Palestine, everyone, many people know what's going on there, and the destroying of the landscape, the burning of the trees. And
yeah, and I think now that you're telling these stories, I mean, in the case of Iraq, again, because it's just no longer in the news on a day-to-day basis. People moved on. So many people have moved on, sadly.
Yeah.
The news cycle has moved on. That's what I meant, not people as individuals. And therefore, those stories are not told necessarily, right?
No,
there's not much coverage.
It's not newsworthy anymore.
It's not, for the kind of overall, certainly Western media.
Well, look what's happening now. I mean, anything in Palestine been on the news? It's only thanks to my Instagram and certain people. So that's why we need to keep talking about it, and we need to band together because we are a big force in this region, and we're coming. I don't want to sound like we're all tooting our own horn, but we're coming up in a better position in many different ways. I'm not talking about monetary or anything like that, but as a people or as a region, in a much healthier kind of maybe more positive way than how the rest of the world's doing at the moment.
Yeah, and
that's my belief.
I think that's exactly right.
And I think it's a gift and a pleasure a privilege to live in this part of the world now.
I think the landscape of this region has completely changed.
Yeah.
Right? And in many ways, I think Dubai has led the way in a complete makeover.
Totally.
In the sense of the image and how people perceive us, which is great. And I'm hoping that stage 2, certainly in the Gulf, you would start seeing each one of them pursuing their own sort of identity that fits their needs and the people that live there.
Yeah.
But I think the Dubai experience has obviously been an extremely positive one.
Yeah. I think it's our responsibility as what do they call Arabs that grew up in England or America? Third culture kids.
Yeah.
I think it's our responsibility to keep our traditions alive
and to
keep our heritage alive, because I'm seeing that get a bit lost just through language. Even like my kids don't speak very good Arabic at all, and I'm like, how did that was a mess up. Like they need to speak Arabic. The language is a big one. I think it's a big responsibility of ours to do that.
So there's a lot of, as we were saying earlier, a lot of misconceptions about herbalism and what it means. And obviously, you have kind of two forces, right? You have the true essence of what I think it is, although I'm going to ask you about it. You have commercial forces from big pharmaceutical companies and others trying to co-opt it.
Absolutely.
If they're seeing there's potential, a very lucrative niche for them. And this happens in any apothecary, in any business. You start, look at luxury, look at any business, you have these startups. When they pop up, then obviously larger companies start to take an interest in them.
Yeah.
But then you have also kind of, let me just call them the crazies, which are people and certain strands that kind of think, you can heal anything. And so you don't want to do this kind of voodoo stuff. It's real stuff. It has obviously documented healing powers. There's a method to it. You have to do a 3-year degree to acquire that knowledge. How do you kind of, position yourself in a very, very still amorphous landscape?
It's really difficult because, first of all, you have to be really careful what you say, what you're claiming, what you promise people, and you have to be very conservative. we're trained with red flags. So if anyone comes to me with a red flag symptom, I straight away refer them to a medical doctor.
What are red flag symptoms?
Like bleeding, vomiting, blood in stool, a certain level of heartbeat that doesn't go down, high blood pressure. Like there's specific flags.
Yeah, you're like, it's beyond this now.
Or any kind of, bacterial infection, like that's serious, or like a meningitis. I wouldn't tell, or a cancer patient, I wouldn't tell them I can cure your cancer or shrink your tumor. Yeah. I can support you.
I can put you at ease. I can make you comfortable.
I can support you with alongside your chemo treatment or your radiotherapy, and I can put a bit of less, stress on your liver with milk thistle, which is clinically proven. It's not. This is the thing when people think it's woo woo or she's coming with like her voodoo stuff. It really isn't. It really isn't. And a lot of medications are derived from plants. Yes, they've now been chemically made in a lab, but the original extract was from a plant. The thing that pharmaceutical companies want to do, and unfortunately, again, this is really damaging to the herbal medicine, community or anyone that wants to go that way for healing, is they damage it on purpose. They go out to damage it because it's not profitable. They have to have something that's patented. They therefore go for standardized extracts, or they'll extract a part of the plant, which they then patent, and they can put in a pill and sell to you in pill form, which doesn't work the same way the whole plant does. The whole reason the plant works is because it has a certain synergy, and every phytochemical in the plant complements each other to work as a whole, to put your body into balance, not to put you in a hyper or a hypo state where you're trying to like, oh, I've got high blood pressure, let me just use this to lower it. The plant will, if you have high or low blood pressure, the plant for the blood pressure, like hawthorn, will normalize your blood pressure no matter whether you're high or low. You see what I mean?
I completely see what you mean.
So and that's the whole plant. You can't take a bit out of it and just, so back to the pharmaceutical companies is you will count, there have been, a study that comes out on St. John's wort, I don't know, in 2000, and it was a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago, about how it alleviates depression.
Yes,
and
I remember
then
that.
It was a huge thing, and doctors started prescribing it to patients rather than giving them, pharmaceutical SSRIs. And they, I think one of the companies that made these drugs lost, apparently, this is a rumor, it's not 100%, but lost a lot of money because people were turning away and going to St. John's wort. So one study comes out completely knocking it, saying that it's, dangerous to use in certain conditions, or if you're taking certain measures, it just basically destroys it. And now it's like,
nobody will
even
touch
in our
it.
Training, they put a million warnings with St. John's wort because people are too scared, because you don't want to be liable or anything to, it's, there's a definite attack on this side of wellness and healing. It's very clear. And
from the larger pharmaceutical.
And media, and like just
complex.
A lot of shadow banning, and you're being careful what you're saying, and because it's free for all and they can't deal with that everyone can have it.
That's so interesting.
It's yours. If I give you knowledge on the plant, I'm not giving it to you as in I'm the only wisdom keeper of it. It's yours. You can go pick it from the field and use it. And I'm saying it's great. Okay, maybe not for, there are certain illnesses that medicine has an amazing, life-saving role. But for chronic stuff, for people that don't really know, can't get a diagnosis, IBS, chronic fatigue syndrome, these kind of things, autoimmune issues, herbal medicine is amazing.
From your experience, what is the value of a more bespoke regimen, let's just say, versus, so Hashem comes to you, like I have high cholesterol, for example, right? So, reading a little bit about it, and then let's say buying a particular plant or plant-based extract, one of those, and that kind of is proven to help with lower cholesterol, versus me coming to you, having an individual sessions that's a lot more holistic, and you're saying, well, here's the plan we're going to put you on. So are both equally effective? Is it indifferent? How does it work?
No, number two is definitely by far. And you treat the person, not the symptom.
You treat the person, not the symptom.
Your high cholesterol could be for a completely different reason to maybe yours,
Well, in my case, it's mostly because of Chirac, but yeah. So really, over the years, it's a miracle. There's no blood pressure issues yet, but it's coming any minute now. But yeah, I mean, it's really Chirag.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just being honest. But yeah, I mean, anyway, we're going away from.
Yes, so exactly. So your reasons could be totally different, and we want to treat the root cause, right? So this is why we sell the four tinctures that we sell that have a specific purpose. But I much prefer as well to see someone on an individual basis. And we spend 1 hour and 50 minutes investigating you.
Okay.
And every body system of yours. And then I diagnose you. I do some diagnostics that we're taught, like naturopathic ones, which would be pulse, eyes, tongue, and skin. And then I come up with a treatment plan and I send it to you after. And it's a 4 to 6 week treatment plan.
Are there some cases where you're like, you don't need anything? No. Everybody would benefit something.
Yeah, at least a lifestyle change or a diet change. Or we also give people guidance on that. Sleep hygiene, meal hygiene. But sadly, people come to us when they're desperate.
Yeah, they don't come to us.
We're not the first, I'm not feeling well, I'm going to go to a herbalist.
I tried this, and then
or I'm on 20 meds and I just want to get off some of them. Or can you support me with, I just keep getting sick. My immunity, we're seeing a lot of low immunity. We're seeing a lot of autoimmune. We're seeing a lot of stressed people, a lot of overactive adrenals, a lot of cortisol, like a lot of stressed people, a lot of people not sleeping. And I think the state of the world is getting more and more.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question, right? I mean, I don't know if it's because now we have labels for it, but I'm 49 years old and I have never heard the word autoimmune more than in the last 2 or 3 years. Now, I don't know because I was too young or because it wasn't labeled as such, but clearly the stress levels, to your point, have come up so much that those types of issues, I'm using autoimmune as a blanket for many other issues.
Yeah.
They're essentially stress factors.
There's also other factors that we cannot name, which are happening and are causing these things. And I won't go into it now because I don't want to open that subject, but it's unfortunately never going to be brought to light. But there are environmental factors and toxins that are surrounding us all the time that are also contributing to, I believe, and I may be very wrong, I'm not saying I know anything 100%, but I believe is contributing to the rise in autoimmune and allergies and stress. Yeah.
When we come back, we talk about some of the challenges of growing an apothecary business and how impactful parenthood can be on your personal journey. That's right after this short break. Welcome back. You're listening to the Lighthouse Conversations with my guest, Shereen Al-Mulla. When you decided to start the business, did you look at the odds of this business succeeding? Because frankly, from what you're saying, there's a lot of things at stake that are, as you said, I mean, you have pharmaceutical companies and for-profit. I mean, you're for-profit too, but for-profit larger companies that may have a reason not to want to see people like you succeed. You have a lot of rubbish that you can get online that has nothing to do with herbalism, but then some people might believe, and that could be another side coming for you, essentially.
Yeah.
And then you have also, as you rightfully said, the fact that some of these things are available for free.
Yeah.
So it's not obvious that once I've discovered it, I'm going to be coming back to you. Did you factor this in, or was this really just from the heart and saying, let's start and then see how this goes?
It's from the heart. Okay. And I think that might be one of our downfalls.
No, it's not a downfall at all. I'm not, that's what I mean.
Not a downfall. It's very hard for us to get into the mindset of a profitable, huge company, right?
Yeah.
So like, I can see it going there because it's very popular and people love it. And we do it with intention and we do it with integrity and we do it with extreme mindfulness of our sources.
And I'll add something to all of those. You're also resolving an issue that's actually there.
Yeah.
So you're solving a problem. You know, to me, when I see any startup in any business, my first question is always, in my mind at least, is this a legitimate problem or a nice to have?
Yeah.
And in your case, it's very clearly a legitimate problem. You know what I mean? So when I invest in tech startups, and when I see the X company giving me another, way to wire money from X to Y, you may be solving a problem, but there's 9 other people doing that and it's already existing and it's in my phone. So hard to see how you move the needle.
Absolutely.
But you are definitely have your pulse on a real problem, a problem that's actually spreading, and a problem that many of us may not even be aware of. So I was not suggesting that this doesn't make business sense.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's very inspiring to hear that from you because you've really done something so amazing as well here. I think
it's true. Thank you.
For me, it's
despite Chirag, by the way,
it's keeping the integrity. It's keeping the integrity, and I think that's the fine line between when you start to go big.
Yeah. So that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
You're not there yet. That's a high class problem to have, as they say, when you get there. But of course, we see this all the time. One of the products we have in our concept store is Aesop.
Yeah.
Aesop, as I'm sure you know very well, is a beautiful company.
Yeah.
That grew from New Zealand, eventually acquired by a Brazilian conglomerate, got bigger. We started all seeing it in many places. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying it was so niche when they started. And now L'Oreal just bought them. So you will see them in every hotel, in every blah, blah, blah. Again, now, I don't know how the founders feel. And maybe that was the path they wanted all along. But of course, it's no longer a niche. And therefore, at some point, it also loses its...
Yeah, do I want Aesop in my bathroom anymore?
Right.
No.
Exactly. When I'm seeing it in every
it's so
Sheraton
funny.
hotel.
When I step outside of
Sheraton.
all the Sheraton. Yeah.
All of a sudden, thought
no
that
offense,
the Sheraton people will not like this. Yeah. Okay. Hilton. Oops.
But then again, can we remove ourselves from this? It's crazy that it just, again, makes me reflect on this current state of the human condition. But that's just going really deep into it. It's like, why do I care what soap is in my bathroom? And then I go into that.
We so care.
I know.
Yeah.
But why do I? And why, and I go into these deep holes of thinking
by the way,
of these
on this
things.
particular topic.
And why do I care what the box looks like?
Well, I was going to
and we really care about that.
I was going to say, so you may care for the soap in the bathroom for two different reasons. I'll give you an example. My wife cares a lot more about the sensation and the actual soap.
Yes.
I care a lot more about the look.
Yeah.
So to me,
Yeah.
Sorry, Aesop. 50% of it, maybe more, is actually the aesthetics.
Yes.
I mean, I like the product, no question, but it's certainly not your
top thing.
Yeah. So it's very similar to this. I mean, I think, of course, product design has a huge appeal. It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And bathrooms are very personal. Anything that I think touches you is very personal.
Exactly.
One of the things we learned from Aesop, which I think was interesting, in many cases, they insisted to have their own sink. One of the reasons at the beginning we're having issues bringing Aesop here is they're like, well, where's the sink? I'm like, I'm sorry? They're like, you need the sink? I'm like, no, we don't have space for a sink. We're like a restaurant and a concept store. So now they've adapted their format, but I think they wanted you to rehearse the whole experience. So I feel like for anything that touches you, that matters a lot.
True. And there's also, I mean, for us, the way we package our stuff is on the way a traditional herbal, you're supposed to store stuff. So the amber bottle, so that you don't get the UV damage and no oxidation. That's what's important to us. Obviously, we'd love to develop our packaging more, but that doesn't happen until you have massive
No, your
huge
packaging
quantities.
is very elegant, very understated, I think, and timeless. And the colors go really well with, exactly.
I think the challenge is communicating what's inside the package through the packaging, right? And I think we find ourselves having to again explain and educate a lot around what's in here, because so much has gone into that powder, right? And each ingredient of that powder has a specific purpose. From the lion's mane mushroom to the cordyceps to the reishi to the cardamom to the cinnamon and the astragalus. Those are 6 powerhouse ingredients that you can just put a teaspoon into your smoothie, coffee, drink every day, oatmeal, that are really supportive of brain cognitive health, immune function, digestive health. And Mahdiah came up with this blend. I take it every day. I love it. And it's one of our best sellers. But it's like, because I'm so passionate about what's in it, I want I want people to know it. And how do you then communicate that through, if someone's walking past a shop and they just see that?
So how do you generally communicate your message? So you talked earlier about a community. Mm-hmm. I would imagine there's a small but growing community.
Yeah.
Of both enthusiasts, professionals, practitioners. Talk to us a little bit more about this community.
It's people that already had a window into this and people that already had a base knowledge, right? So they're just excited that there is this here and that they can buy it locally and they don't have to bring it in from the US or anywhere else. And then there's the new people that are curious and want to try and are looking for a natural mode of healing outside of, the conventional methods that they've gone to. Well, we're in Circal,
No, I know in third
So
line. Which
in
is
third
lovely.
line, which is
Yeah.
like,
And you were here in D3 too with us.
yeah, and we're here with you,
Yeah.
and I think we're in the two best places in Dubai.
Thank you.
Really, I mean, I guess you guys and the people that come to you and the people that go to third line are community, because
Yes.
I think the choice we've been asked to be in a few different places, and we've declined because we're also the choice of where we want Hikma to be is reflective of the community we want to create.
And your values.
Yeah. And, and also the kind of people we want to work with, like the farm we work with, you guys, Sunny at the third line, like it's people that have values, integrity, that are just lovely people. Like Sunny really gave us a chance, like
She's great.
To have the apothecary in an art gallery, and she just went for it. She has a love of plants as well.
Yeah, but we it's funny, we had her on this podcast not so long ago, and one of the things that came out of it, her initial vision was not just a gallery. Not that I'm belittling him. No, it's a fantastic gallery, one of the best in Dubai.
Yeah.
I think she always had this idea that let's create a space for more.
Yeah.
Which is why you fit so well.
Thank you. That's good to know. No, she really took a leap with us and had faith in us and has just been so amazing. So we're super grateful. But that community in Sarkal is a lovely one.
Yeah, it is.
The community here is a lovely one.
True.
Then we've got one more in Ras Al Khaimah, which is a yoga studio. So again, like yoga, wellness, and then soon in the Palm with a new place opening called Contrast, which is a hot and cold therapy. I hope I'm saying it right, but they have UV. What's it called?
Yeah.
Infrared sauna.
Yes.
Cold. What's that cryo thing?
Yeah,
and
the cryo thing.
I did an ice bath for the first time last week.
So I was supposed to do it this morning.
Oh, really?
And I didn't go. Okay, a quick note here. I dug a bit more into the phenomenon of cold showers and ice baths with Shereen on a bonus episode. We'll also talk about using Instagram and Google reviews for our respective businesses and how it's helped us grow the business immensely. You can find the bonus episode in your podcast app right after this episode. How has motherhood changed you? I have a feeling that part of you getting to this point where you start your own company and look to do this course, and it's kind of a way of finding your way in a way. It seems to be as a result of having children.
Yeah.
And that being, I'm sure, a very positive experience, but also a very strong sensation.
Having children was it was like someone put a big mirror in front of me and showed me all the shit that I needed to heal in myself. Or that was wrong with me.
I was trying to put it differently, but
that's what it was. That's really, if you want the truth, that's what being a mum was for me. And it still is. I'm still learning so much with the help of some very amazing people.
Let's talk a little bit about this. Did you find it traumatizing? Did you find it energizing? A little bit of both? Terrifying? I mean,
everything. Everything, like a kaleidoscope of everything. You go through, you've got kids, you go through these phases. As the first bit where you're in a fog and a hole.
Yeah,
and you're
a couple of years.
Yeah, and there's no night, day, whatever. It's just all in one.
Yeah, you're in Las Vegas.
And then they're older and there's new exactly, you're in Vegas. Without the fun
I was in Vegas for 3 years. Like with the carpets that are cut, you never know. Is it noon? Is it 4 in the morning? I have no idea. Drink some water and keep going.
You're just wired.
Yeah.
In a different way. So that's it. So it was everything. But now then I spoke to you earlier about identity loss. So when you become a parent, that's it. You put everything into being a parent for different reasons. People do that for different reasons. But I did that. I poured myself into being a mum. Maybe because I wasn't really sure of what I was doing before. So I was like, oh, there you go. Purpose,
I have an
motherhood.
Anchor. Yeah.
This is my thing. It's my anchor. And I'm just going to do everything. But then I realized I was just losing myself. And that's when I went to the thing of trying to then find myself again. And this was my path. My path came to this.
And it's an evolution, right? This doesn't happen overnight.
It's happened over years, right? So, but I never thought it would happen. And it's when I look back now, I'm like, oh, all the steps that led me here. But I never thought
you look very at ease now.
This is very recent.
Okay. I mean, I have to say, you look very much.
If you spoke to me about this 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, I would have been a ball of nerves right now and not really sure what I was going to say. But something has happened to me over the last, recently, where I feel like
obviously.
Exactly.
Solves everything.
I'm drinking it, which you're not supposed to, but I start drinking it, and this is what happened. It's the focus powder.
Yeah.
No, but I've come into myself. That's what I'd like to say. And I know what we're doing, and we have a path, and I feel confident about what we're doing.
And you embody the values that you've infused in your own company and brand.
Yeah.
And I think that shows.
Yeah. And I'll only buy from people that have that too. Like I'll choose Lighthouse over somewhere else because I know that you have the same ethos, or I'll choose, I go towards brands and people that have the same.
So I think that what you said about, eating at the Lighthouse and places like that, we all feel that sense of community, and it's across industries. I think that community is not about food or herbalism or this. It's really about a sense of purpose and belonging.
But do you feel that it's quite specific to Dubai? Well, I've only lived in London and here, but I feel
definitely
like it's
very
something
specific to
very
Dubai
beautiful
because I think it's early days, and because that community of building things from the ground up is very young.
Yeah, true.
I can tell you in the kind of creative / F&B community that we are part of, in 2017, you had 3-4 brands in all of Dubai that were homegrown brands.
Homegrown, yeah.
All the brands around you are, imported from London and New York and Paris and whatnot. Nothing wrong with that. But that's all you saw.
Yeah.
I mean, when Sunny started Third Line talking about this, there was nothing.
Yes, true.
So it's actually been a huge sprint over the last decade.
Yeah.
And as a result, I think you have a very small, not very small, growing community, but it's also a very active community.
It's active, exactly.
I don't think you'd get that feeling in New York or London anymore.
No.
Maybe in the 60s or in the 70s.
Yeah. It's
it's just an evolution.
Which is becoming soulless, I think.
I think so too.
Everything's homogenized. Everything's the same. Everything's, I went into a shop in Notting Hill where there was no shop assistants. You have to ask, you do everything
like those
off an
Amazon
iPad.
shops, yeah.
You do it off an iPad, but you're in a physical store.
It's an awful experience.
And then so you pick your clothes and they send it to the fitting room through an iPad. But I was like, I just want to take it off the rail and take it, but you can't. You've got to. It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't. I'm all for digitizing, but you
need human connection.
I was going to say exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like if you go to the Lighthouse, you can scan the QR code and pay. And in a couple of months, we'll even enable you to order from your phone if you want. But it doesn't mean you're not going to have a waiter. There will always be someone there.
That's great because it's
talking
convenient.
to you about the food.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to say is I want this guy or this girl now to spend more time with Shereen talking about the Lighthouse versus sitting with her back to you, putting down the order.
Putting stuff in.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But if I remove the human connection and you come into a Lighthouse with no team, where you're just ordering your chicken souvlaki.
Yum, you have chicken souvlaki? Do you? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try that.
That doesn't, exactly. I had the falafel souvlaki today and I hadn't had it in a long time. I was like, oh, this is really good.
Yum, I'm going to have one.
Shereen, thank you. That was a great conversation.
Thank you.
We wish you the best of luck.
It was so easy and lovely to talk to you. Thank you.
Honestly,
and a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. If you know someone who would love to hear this, please share this episode with them. The Lighthouse Conversations is hosted by me, Hashem and Shereen. Our producer is Chirag Desai, and our content director is Farah Sharif. You can connect with us on Instagram at @thelighthouse_podcast for behind-the-scenes videos, and also listen to all our previous episodes in your podcast app. You can also visit thelighthouse.ae/podcasts to listen to all of those episodes. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.